Okay, guys, it's Friday at 5 o'clock. So, since we generally have pretty low attendance on a Friday, I'm just going to go ahead and just pre record this, just take a stroll through a few things, share a few thoughts. So, I've been back from the funeral for a day or two. I'm not going to get into the details of that yet because I haven't been debriefed. Some of you guys have been sending me private messages. What happened? What happened? What happened? A lot happened. But the protocol with my group is anything supernatural happens, anything involving that realm, I have to be debriefed before as far as what I can talk about and what I can't, because sometimes things come out that are generally not meant for the public. So I have to be debriefed on what I can talk about, what I can't talk about. However, I would like to thank some of the diamonds who were part of the trip that volunteered to come with me in moral support. That was amazing. You guys were really awesome about doing that. So I took two psychics and a channeler, and three people from the diamond group went down with me. So they wanted to see firsthand what this is like. I'm like, get ready to get baptized in weird, guys. So we'll talk about that here in upcoming broadcasts. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on right now. It's gonna Friday's obviously, Friday's not like a really big day, but we're setting up for some stuff here. So I'm back on an XLM kick. I tried to get in on XDC, which we'll talk about here in a couple minutes. I wanted to do a little swing trade. Turns out KuCoin, I had a couple $1,000 sitting in USDC over on KuCoin, and apparently they do not have a USDC to XDC trade. So apparently USDC is somewhat limited. I think we all knew that was probably the case. It's somewhat limited on your trade pairs. So the one thing I absolutely hate to see you guys do, because you're just not doing the math, is I absolutely hate. Well, I want to get into XDC, so I'll trade USDC for Tether, and then I'll blah blah blah. You're losing all over the board when you do that, and you're not factoring it into that basic math that we talk about when you go from Tether to USDC, and then USDC to XDC, and then XDC back to USDC or Tether or whatever, and then to cash. That's a lot of transactions. So how much are you expecting USDC to move? Well, I wasn't expecting much more than about 10%. And by the time I did all that, I'd be lucky if I got enough for, a pack of gum. So it just isn't worth juice isn't worth the squeeze, as the old saying goes. And you never know. So you always got to kind of take the worst case scenario. So we'll just wait till the next train comes around. As far as I'm concerned, I'll just wait till the next train comes around and I'll grab something that is within the realm of tradability using USDC. And again, this is no ringing endorsement for USDC. It's just that Tether, oh, we're getting close. We're getting real close. So we'll discuss that at a later date. But right now, XLM, this would be a trade pair if I wanted to do. So that's what I did. I just threw a swing trade up on this just to see if I could grab it. And let's just go back to just basic TA and just talk about that, see if that's still holding true. So if we want to just be minor, we could pick it up right here at the pit, but let's just go ahead and pick it up at the basic obvious. I think we've already done this. We're getting ready to do our breakout. And that's going to take her, ta-da, right to 0.5712, right there. I would be inclined to believe probably not right off full stroke. I would, and again, you guys know how these things work. They work at, we can go to 25%, we can go 50%, we can go to 75%. Well, you can see 75% of this move also has a corresponding ISIS line to it. So I would be inclined to believe we might go 75% of that. Certainly probably bottom out on this at some juncture in time. But again, it won't be an immediate move to the bottom. So it'll take a while, as it always does. Let's get this stuff out of here. But in the here and the now, what is possible? We're looking at an upturning on the RSI. We're looking at a possible conjoining here, crossing positive divergence a little bit in the MACD. So far, this is just kind of going neutral. Bubbles kind of compressing, so we're about 50-50. We could go up, might go down, that kind of thing. I always hate those days when it's like that because it's kind of hard to make any kind of decisive calls. So we go to Anubis Oracle. Anubis Oracle gives us an entirely different perspective on this. And so, as we all know, when a triangle has a flat side, we break usually anywhere, and I like to say 70. That's not exact odds. It's anywhere between 70 and 80% of the time. We 70 to 80% of the time break to the flat side. So if this is an inverted one, we break up. Now, uh, if that were to happen, and one more thing I want to mention here is the dragon's not looking too spiffy here as far as like anything bullish yet. It's bumping around, but it's not making a hard beeline towards the red and the blue. So anyway, if we go and we look at Oracle and what Oracle says, let's take off some of the trash here. Oracle says, let's just start at the top, 64% chance, 64% chance of turning and going up. Now, it does not mean turning and going up in one fell swoop. I always got to caution you guys to think, well, it said 65. How come it's not doing this? It could be a slow creep to get up there. As you can see, this line is not exactly. This line is somewhat indicative of projected possible theoretical timelines. So when you see a line going further up like this, it's probably a shorter time zone. We see something going way out like this, it's possible it may take that stretch of time. So what's doing is this is considered a time frame and a destination and an end marker. So it is possible that by, well, this is saying March, but by March it could possibly reach that. So, but it's saying there's a 64% chance of that. In the meantime, it's saying there's a 35.91% chance that it's going to go up, hit this, which is probably more probable in the short term. And this is talking short term. And yeah, we'll just stick with that. There's a 35% chance of it doing a short little blast, which it could. It could be a third bounce. So if you're really looking at this, let me draw this on here as best I can. What you've effectively got is one bounce, two bounce, and see that arrow? There's your third bounce there. So basically we've got kind of a descending triangle within a triangle there. All right, so to the other side of this, we're looking at a 44% chance that we can go down. Now we can start talking TA, standard TA. Standard TA would have us going down. Let's go ahead and put that back there. So there's your markers. I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. That should be red, by the way. I'm going to make that yellow because it is pretty much a foregone conclusion. I would say, reasonably speaking, I would say, if I can get my markers together here, I would say probably to expect that zone right there as a pretty safe bet. Because you got a few things to contend to. You got or contend with. You've got the midline. I don't think this is all that much of a threat, but the first real point of order is you got to get out the bottom of that red box. So we could hit that, go sideways for a little bit, and then start meandering down that, and then probably go in the matter of a week and a half, something like that. So this is your first, but I do have a target here for Hot Watch that's going to start notifying people, hey, things are starting to get good. We're going to talk about Hot Watch here in just a second. We have one confirmation and two confirmations, and this is why I say it. I think that probably right here at about 0.66, we'll just call it 0.66, is 0.066, pardon me, is probably a pretty safe general idea where we're going to be in the short term. So am I going to be buying safety buys? No, I'm not, because until we get into the green, I'm not totally going to be all that excited. But let's just go ahead and take a look at that. It's really all we're doing is just watching cars at this point in time. We're just watching cars pass and trains pass. So we have 42% more to go to get down to the excitement zone where things start to get real, because at that point we're under a nickel. I believe we are going to go lower than a nickel, but at that point you definitely got my attention. So I'm going to start thinking about maybe loading half a boat or a quarter of a boat of mini boats. But I think ultimately you can still see where we're at here. I've got the ultimate call that we're smashing bottom and we're under 2 cents. So in order to just kind of, let's go ahead and pull on that one too, and I'll show you how far away we are on that one. Takes me a minute to find all my stuff here. I don't even know that we can. Hold on just a second. There we go. All right. There, yeah. So to get to the alarm, that's, we've seen far higher numbers. So we're looking at 77, basically 77.5% to go. That's not really as far as you think. That's a couple of bad 35% drop days, maybe a couple 15s, a 25, give or take, just a hodgepodge of whatever. But it don't take too many days to get to go to cover that kind of real estate to get down in that general area. Just one bad week can do that and some more. So we shall see. But this one's on the top of the watch, so we're just going to kind of stick that one on the shelf right now and just kind of keep an eye on it. So let's back up here and let's take a look at Bitcoin and see what's doing with Bitcoin first of all. I've been watching Bitcoin. Some of you guys who have Hot Watch have probably been seeing these weird things pop up. I'm testing new markers, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. I've been testing new indicators. So I've got a little Einstein icon that pops up anytime I have like a purple theory. You'll get a hot watch on theories now too. So if I have a theory that is active, I'll notate it as being a theory, and you'll see a little Albert Einstein, a little purple Albert Einstein pop up in the hot watch that'll just say, hey, we got a theory that it possibly could go to this price, and it'll notate, what I see happening at that point. And if you guys want to jump in on those theories, which oftentimes do pan out, it doesn't get any easier, or it doesn't get any earlier than doing it that way. All right. Now this has been kind of an interesting formation here because it's just kind of throwing everything at the wall as far as signals go. If we're looking at, well, let's back way up just a little bit here first and talk about what should be happening, and then I'll talk about what is happening. All right, so what should be happening, obviously, we've got a very, very clear indicator of a bear flag to about this point. As I've said, I haven't really mentioned this too much, but as I've said, when you get to a certain point, your flag gets a little too long. It's time to stop calling it a flag. And you can very clearly see where that point is. It's right here. So we've got a flag here. Doesn't mean it won't play out, but we have other business going on. We're in basically the next, that's obviously a pulse marker right there. And so we made a decision, and now we're on to basically a new formation. And so what we really got is inside of a large bear flag, we've got a mini bull flag. Fair enough. It happens. It happens. So if you just want to take this on face value here, there's your flagpole. If you just want to just use your imagination, I don't want to mess up the screen here, but if you take that little pole and you take that distance and you stick it on top of there, that's going to put you right at the top of the Keltner or right there at that alarm. So it's highly likely that you're going to see us hit that little amount of space, and that's not a huge amount. I mean, we're not nothing you would swing trade ever. It's only 3.7%. So, do I think we'll get it? Yeah, probably, because we're already in oversold. We're already in the high traffic area. The MACD is starting to move up. Hasn't crossed yet, but it's showing that we could go into a second session of green there. You can see that all indicators are starting to. This one's never really a clear indicator. It's just showing traffic. This has room to run, I guess is what I want to say. But if you look at the bubble, this is the most telling. There is a very clear flare to the upside on the bubble. Keltner channel, bottom of the Keltner channel is doing the same thing the top of the bubble is, so we're starting to get bullish. Bullish doesn't mean we're going to the moon. It just means that this moment in this second in time that we're bullish, and that could change just like that. However, I think that a possible tap on the Keltner channel there is probably in our near future, maybe by Saturday afternoon, if not much, much sooner. This is a one-day chart, so I don't see it happening on this one. We got about 30 minutes until the next candle opens up. We'll see what it gives us, but it's just an indicator on what to expect going forward. If you want to look at it from this standpoint, if you want to look at it from this standpoint, we have kind of a rounded bottom. Not classically speaking, but we basically got a trend going there, more or less. You could look at it that, that's probably a sloppy way of doing that. You have more or less a trend running through there. So yes, I can see it hitting that. And then of course, then we're back to coming out of a channel and going down. So I think probably we'll get a little bullish behavior here for the next 48 hours, roll around to Sunday, Monday, and then we're continuing our trek to the bottom. And when I talk about this, I'm talking about entire market. I'm not speaking specifically to Bitcoin. Generally, anytime I talk about Bitcoin, unless otherwise said or stated, you should always usually indicate. When I say Bitcoin, you should be hearing market, because we've seen that happen enough. Bitcoin's always been the leader and always probably will be the leader. So, just all we want it to do is just lead us to the bottom, please. So I haven't checked in on Ethereum for a while. I'm just not screwing with ERC20 coins right now. I'm honestly, just a thought here, I'm honestly not surprised to see this being so lackluster right now, because what would ETH be if it weren't for Tether? And so it's probably highly likely that people are just not really wanting to trade in Tether-based stuff or not wanting to trade in ERC type stuff because you just got to keep putting your toe across the line on that. So it's just holding ground. I never check volume, but if you look at volume, I would be not surprised at all to see that the volume lately has probably not been all that impressive. Now, we did cross a fib ring here. It does look like it'll probably join the same Bitcoin move. We'll probably come up and tap a dual AI at 146575. But it's still overall we would still be in the same general downhill trend. Let me I like to use my marker because it shows on you guys in your cell phones. I think overall we're still kind of rocking right down that channel right there. So let's talk about XDC for a minute, and then I'll backtrack to XLM and XRP. Or I'm sorry, I'll backtrack to XRP. We already covered XLM. All right, still saying 100%, 100%. We're basically just waiting. This one, so this is when I announced it. I was kind of I should probably have a new icon for that. I just like to use that green finger. That's where I spotted a potential here. Anubis says 100% chance. That's a bold statement. 100% chance that we're going to run up to about here, over by December 13th. Anybody want to doubt that? I don't think so. I don't want to doubt it. So will we run that high? Now here, this is why I didn't get all that emotional about it, because you're looking at, if you do that whole thing from where we're at right now, you're looking at 9.54%. So if you want to take a shot at it and just keep a little bit of money moving through your account, I'll always give you the broad picture and the short picture together. But the broad picture is this: you can play it as a swing. Effectively, let's just start from square one here for you guys that are kind of late to the party, understanding that I did this call, and that which would probably be gold because I think I talked about this in platinum. So this was where the call happened yesterday. So we jiggled up a little bit, which wasn't all that much, like 2%, but you can see we're riding that Anubis trend right there. So basically what we're getting is we're getting a downward whipsaw of this. We've struck exactly where I told everybody this thing was going to hit. I mean, right to the pixel as usual, and ping, we are coming up off of it. So at that point in time, I said, I think we might have a winner here. So I called it as being possible because I was waiting for these indicators to cross. And by the way, the RSI is starting to get very excited what it sees. So that's good because usually RSI tends to lead. Now, here we got the MACD crossing. MACD's crossing, and it is in our favorite place, which is deep, deep underneath a whole lot of red. I like this. This is why I was calling this to the attention of the Platinums, Platinum Pro, and Diamond, is because I said this thing kind of seems like a sucker bet to me. How much velocity we get out of it, anybody's guess. But even the DMI, the Nubis DMI, is even starting to get a little bit of a curve upwards, meaning the directional moving indicator is what this line is, meaning we are going up. All right, so we're 3 for 3 down here. So how are we looking on the bubble? How are we looking on the Keltner? Keltner's starting to roll a little bit. Bubble's starting to roll a little bit. Up top here, we're not seeing an awful lot, but I'll take it. But the general move is where we have a throat here. And you can kind of see that right there. We have a throat, but as soon as we come out of that, this thing could lift and start going up. Now, your first indicator, if you look at the dragon, and this is what I was watching the other day when I made this call. I'm watching that right there. I want to see that this thing is starting to get sparky and starting to go up. Everything's starting to go up. Red's going up, blue's going up, green's going up. Green's much more aggressive, so it's going to overtake the red and overtake the blue. We're not there yet. So this is the point where you say, all right, is you is or is you ain't. Do you have faith or don't you? These are the things that if you want to be a good trader, you got to play. At some point, you just let go of the reins and just trust your instinct. You just do, and you fall back on common sense. That basically, sorry to tell you, but I don't care how many books you read, you're not gonna read instinct in a book. You're just not gonna learn it. And so you got to kind of trust your gut a little bit and just go with what the roadmap says and play it and just go down that road as far as you can. I always like to fall back on the basics of this is, would I be offended? Would I be morally outraged if I bought an XDC at 2.175 cents? No, I would not. Not at all. So if I get hung with this thing, it's not like I'm holding a shit coin or anything like that. I'm just going to have to just ride out the bad days and she'll come around. And That's basically the way I'm looking at it. That's why I'm not screwing with these cheap shit coins. And I told you this a year ago, or going into this year. This is not the year for shit coins. And I have been right. You're seeing that I'm right. Have you heard anyone talking about ICOs, IPOs being the thing? You're just not going to hear people talk, oh, this new thing is coming out. Great. Let me know how it works out. Because I don't want to be part of it. I want to play the stuff that's a guaranteed bet because, and by that, XDC is I think like a number 108. It's low. It's an ISO coin, but it's low on the it's in the top 100 or in the neighborhood of the top 100. So anything below the top 100, I got to think real hard because those things are probably going to wash out. I think we're all in agreement that XTC is not going to wash out. So time is on my side. Don't like to have to ride through it, but if I get in this trade and it goes south, I have two choices. I can either take my losses now or wait for my profits later. It's just that simple. So if you like what's going on here, or now if you bought here, obviously the first thing you want to do, having just said that, the first thing you want to do is you want to basically get in. And the minute you've crossed an ISIS line here, which of course will serve as support when we do on a pullback, then you come up under it, right? You can't just buy it and put in a stop loss down here. That's stupid. You can if you're really super paranoid, but if you had faith in this in the first place that it was going to go up, you don't need a stop loss down here. You just need to babysit it for a while, let it get up here where it needs to go, and then get under it with a stop loss. In the case of XDC, you hear people. Let me define my terms here, or define other people's terms here. You've heard loose and tight stop losses. Many of you probably know what that means. Many of you probably don't. Some of you probably don't. What a loose or a tight stop loss means is in a case where you got something that's just wild, that's just all over the charts. A loose stopwatch would be meaning you're going to have to pull back, way back. I mean, if you're getting these massive wicks that are just going up 10, 15, 20% at a time, you're definitely going to have to get real loose and go way low because there's a possibility that you could just get wicked on a bounce going up further. On something that doesn't trade all that erratically, and I would be making the case, look at this, there's really not too much radical. A little bit right there. Every dog has his day. But if you look at this, let me get this out here. If you look at this generally, I mean, it's pretty much business as usual. It's nothing radical. It's just slow and steady, wins the race. Occasionally you'll get a dump, but I mean you had to go clear back here to May to get a dump. So what I'm trying to say is this would be a case where you can put in a tighter stop loss, meaning, and by the way, I'm really liking the fact that we're so far under the 200 EMA. Let's check that out here so I can kind of feel good about this. 53%. Not the biggest we've ever seen, but it's always a nice place to be because the bubble touched base. We wicked almost, and that was clear back in April. So before, I mean, we're due for a return home here because we haven't been above it since January. So basically at all this year, since the first part of this year. So it's been a year we've been under this damn thing. So we're about ready to get up on over top of it. So again, that's a sucker bet, guys. I mean, statistically, we like to look at statistics. Statistically, I mean, we're due for a comeback. We're due for a comeback. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, yes, the line is coming down, but at some juncture in time, we got to start crossing the line here and start doing business on the other side of the tracks. So all things being equal, do I like buying it at 0.02? I'm not going to be able to, like I said, but do I like buying it or would I buy it? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And will it go up? Will it go up 100% up here? Let's back way off. If Anubis is telling us we got a 100% chance of jumping 9% in the greater picture, are you led to believe that's a possibility? Yeah, my common sense says we're looking at all this massive amount of red. Things are looking good. So you just got to ask yourself, if all things being equal, if this is just the perfect trade, and none of them ever are, if this is the perfect trade and you get this thing and you want to jump in, are you proud of owning this at 0.02179 cents? Because if you are, buy it. And then go ahead and make yourself 5, 6, 7, 8%. Don't be greedy, whatever, get your stop loss. I mean, and it could still run. I'm not saying that this is the end of the run. But again, we have to the bigger picture. We have to take a look at this. We have to say, there's things that are going to start happening in the next couple of weeks coming up here, and we have to be cognizant of that. And we have to just not have ourselves hung out there. When things start to crash and burn, we don't want to be all proud of our XDC and not be out of it in cash again. So just that always bears repeating because sometimes people get a little myopic. They forget about the bigger picture. So we're just in this to make a little bit of money. But if we have to hold it, let me finish that thought. If we have to hold it, get it the hell off the exchange and get it into a wallet temporarily until the storm blows over. Then you can put it back on and sell it when things turn around. If this thing were to plunge and go down, which it's not really looking too likely in the short term. So I think you can probably squeeze out anything from 8 to 10.5%, if not more. All right, back to XRP. Boy, the rumors, the rumors, the rumors. Any day now we're all going to be millionaires. Okie dokie. So, I can't even watch YouTube anymore because, man, I'm telling you, all it takes is just a little tickle and these guys just lose their ever-loving minds. Oh, there you go, guys. I mean, it can't be any more clear what's going on here. Well, let's just get all the way back here. I made this post in the upper VIPs, and I said I was talking about Bitcoin, but this is no different. I said in the end, gravity wins. Gravity always wins. That to me looks like gravity. I mean, we're basically going right back from whence we came, and that would be down here in the 2 penny range. If not, probably a little higher, a little lower. I mean, I have no problem telling everybody that we're going to be in the 22 to 25 cent range, which was my original call, but we're still waiting on those events to happen that's really going to rock the world. And no one has mentioned it, but I do remember telling and relaying to you guys because I heard it again. No two stones will be left standing. It will change the world. That was the prophecy that came through one of the 21 groups that I was cleared to talk about. No two stones will be left standing on top of another. That's what was said. It was repeated again this week. So I don't want to be holding one of those stones when everything goes to the bottom because drags my money with it. I want to be out. So I want to be down here picking up the gold out of the stones. So if anyone tells you XRP is going to the moon in the midst of all this, not happening. Not happening. We won't go through the reasons. I think I've covered this enough times. But simply put, I'm just here to tell you that dual AI line right there, I have no problem thinking that it's going to fall at least to that, which is 16.5 cents. And we shall see with the rest of it. But all I do know is I know this. If TA is to be believed, that is one hell of a flagpole, boys and girls. And if it does play out, this is how it plays out. I'll just kind of basically show you. I have to get through all that trash there, pardon me. So basically, let me give you kind of a precursor as to what I'm doing. I'm putting it right in the pit of that right there. And this is just going to be approximate, so I mean, this is not meant to be a call. It's just meant to be an example. I'm not going to be surprised if this puts us into the negative. So again, whenever these extreme drops happen, you have to kind of look at them. And I'm just, oh, look at that. Right in the bottom of that channel. If I put that exactly where it should be, which is right up at the very top of that move there, puts us right at the bottom of that channel. And that's where I'm going to start buying because I already told you. And that's when we cross that line. So it's very possible to be down. See, we're in the negative here. We're in the negative. But in this general area right here, I feel pretty comfortable thinking we're going to get there, guys. I'm very, very comfortable saying we're going to be getting there because, I heard... Let me sidetrack this conversation for a second because I get these little things saying talk about me. So I have to kind of stop what I'm talking about and talk about that. So Tether, pardon me, I'm going to shut that off because it's probably nobody I want to talk to anyway. No, it's spam, probably Google doing my afternoon phone call they always do. Where was I? Oh, so Tether. What is likely to happen with Tether is when things start to go south. Well, first of all, I have an indicator now. I have a chart now that is part of Hot Watch that will pop up and kind of keep an eye on if how do I want to put this? If Tether depegs from the dollar, plus or minus, Hot Watch is plugged in to tell you to the millisecond when that happens. So you can run to the door and unload your shit as fast as possible. Because when Tether decouples, it is going to be a free-for-all shit show of epic proportions. And people are going to be trying to trade out of Tether into God knows what. So the first thing you're going to see is you're going to see a pump before you see a dump. And I will tell you exactly why. Because what that is, so let's just use Bitcoin for just a second. You're going to see, let's say I'm holding a whole cash crop of Tether, and my indicator on Hot Watch goes off, says we just crossed the line of no return. Now the ratio of dollar to Tether now is never been at this level. That's an indicator shit's about to hit the fan, or it is in the process of hitting the fan. So at that point in time, if I were to have Hot Watch, you have a couple different options. You can dump it to Bitcoin, you can dump it to cash, you can do whatever. So let's assume that I can't find, or I'm on an exchange like KuCoin where there is no cash. So I just have to dump it to something I think is going to survive the storm. It's going to go down in price too, but better to be holding something than not. And a lot of people are going to be in this same scenario where they're just like, I can't get to cash. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, buy Bitcoin. And what you're going to see is that. And so there's going to be this flush of buying that goes into the prime coins. That would be Ethereum. God knows why. That would be Ethereum. That would be Bitcoin. That would be XRP. That would be, XLM. It would be, I pick your favorite, but let's just call it the top 20, top 30, 40, 50, whatever you want to say. But you're going to see, and generally the whole market will just get this all of a sudden, happy days are here again, and you're going to think everything's great, and the next thing you know, all of a sudden everything just goes. So in the midst of that happening, you should be watching and saying, well, what's Tether doing? So let me go back because I can already mentally see a few of you I just probably took off and left a few of you behind. So let me circle back one more time on that. The chain of events is this: when the decoupling happens, I'm sorry, I would show you the graph, but it's part of Hot Watch. So if you guys want to see that, you got to subscribe to Hot Watch. So if the dollar to Tether is, let's just call it dollar buys you one Tether, buys you $1 buys you one Tether. When that decouples, the first thing that you're going to see is not going to be the pumping of anything. You're going to see a wild fluctuation in that price. You're going to see something that's going to come. Let's say, for example, just using this as an example, let's say this is the high water mark and the low water mark. And Tether always operates in this area. If we vary plus or minus and go outside of that, Hot Watch is going to ping you immediately and say, shit's going down. And you can take that, or somebody who's in the know, because I'm not the only one that knows this stuff, and they'll be dumping it. They're going to go, okay, I'm going straight to Bitcoin, and that's exactly what they do. And because that's the big daddy. And if you're on KuCoin or any of these others that won't let you pull your cash off, they're going to dump it to something that's going to survive this coin. So that's step two. Now, what you're going to see during that is you are still going to see Tether going down. Bitcoin's price will be going up. Pick your favorite coin will be going up. The market will be looking good. So the right hand is going, this is great. And the left hand is just dropping through the floor. And so you've got to be watching the Tether dollar to Tether ratio index. And Hot Watch is watching that. So this is step one. If you miss step one, you're already lost the game because you're going to be behind everybody else running for the exits. And that's what I don't want to see you do. So that's why I say it's cheap insurance to get that. Let's get back here. All right, so when that happens, Bitcoin's going to go up. Everything's going to go up at step two. And meanwhile, now we're going to be in panic mode. And it might be a certain percentage of those people might go, oh, Jesus, I don't even want to own Bitcoin. And they're going to be moving their Bitcoin to somewhere where they get cash. So you're going to see a lot of step three. Well, you'll be seeing a lot of coins moving around to exchanges like Coinbase where they can go. And then you're going to see the dumping into the dollar. That's like step 3.5, 4. You're going to see the dumping into the thing. And I would, at that juncture in time, my sense of what's going on here, My inner voice is telling me that's when you start to see liquidity problems. And the whole thing goes around the world. Like I said, within 24 hours, probably within 12 hours, you're going to see liquidity problems. You're going to see Bitcoin, or I'm sorry, you're going to see Coinbase go on lockdown. You're going to see restrictions start. They're going to start restricting the move of coins on and off because they don't have enough Bitcoin over at KuCoin to let you move your stuff off and or whatever. And then everybody's just stuck in the boat where they're at. And so it all starts with Tether. You've got to know when this is going down because if you don't know when this is going down, you've already lost the game. You're in it. You're in it to lose it, so to speak, because you're going to have a small window of time. And how long? I don't know. I'm thinking probably an hour, half an hour maybe, to get your shit and get it off the exchanges as fast as possible because when the crush of reality gets around through the news cycle, well, you're not going to hear it from the legitimate news, but the secondary, the alt media, whatever, just word of mouth, people going, hey, what the hell, and then in Twitter and whatever. By the time that goes around the globe, which will be within the first 2, 3, 4 hours, the crush has already started, and you can't even see the exit for all the bodies piled up in the exit door, and you're not going to get through it. So you've got to be at that exit first, and you got to have an indicator that's going to tell you when to get that exit. So if I've made enough of a sales pitch for that, if I scared the hell out of you, good. You should be scared. I've been saying this for a long time, so this is nothing new. It should be nothing new to you. You should know already that you need to be watching the stuff and standing close to the exits. So if you're going to get in this stuff, check out the indicators, see what we're looking at, see how the week, the day, whatever's looking, because they're not going to, when they decide to dump Tether, when things start to go down, they're not going to check this and go, hey, are we having a good day? Let's go ahead and dump on them. It's just going to happen. And nothing you see on any of these charts is going to tell you that this is the dump day. It's just not going to happen. The only chart that is going to tell you is going to be Tether. It's going to be the Tether dollar to Tether index. All right. So when that happens, we're going to be seeing just a rocket ship to hell. We had a front row seat to the bottom. So I'm really not fearful that we're going to be seeing these prices because, it just makes good sense to me. Just for fun, I always like to kind of check my math. We're still a pretty respectable way away, about 90%. But hey, I'm not ruling it out. I'm not ruling it out. You give me 3 days at 33% loss, or a couple days at 50% loss, and we've had them, we'll get there. All right, so Theta has not. I've talked to a few of you guys privately. Some of the diamonds, talked to a couple of guys that I had video chats with. I've my position on Theta as far as like when we go into the moon. I'm not even interested in having that discussion until 2025, because we've got to get through world problems and see who the hell's left alive and whatever. But before we start talking about entertainment coins, and that's exactly what this is. Until this thing starts to get embedded into the televisions and smartphones of the world on the new purchases, and we're not getting there yet. I believe 100% on this. So right now, this to me is a semi-secure swing coin, and it will remain that way until further notice. But I'm looking at 45% chance that we're going to go smashing down to 53.86 soon. And as I'm looking at this, we've already got a call right here. So I'm thinking we're probably going to be down in the 73-cent range. Well, let's just go ahead and call it 72, 73-cent range here pretty darn soon. Pretty darn soon. As everything else is going to be going, it'll be going too. We're obviously just cresting the long count bottom here. I don't think we're going to be seeing a rise anytime soon. So it looks like it could play maybe back up a little at the top of the green, but overall, everything else is going down. Sometimes this thing front runs and sometimes it doesn't. You notice I haven't really been talking about it being a front runner lately because it just hasn't. It's just been doing the same thing, just meandering, getting you a little hopeful, but just still basically on the same trajectory down. Really, you can see what I'm talking about. There just hasn't been anything exciting since clear back in May. Actually, I should say since clear back in April of 2022. So again, here we are. If this is to be believed as an opening move, we got a hell of a closing move that needs to close, and it's going to get ugly, kids. If we just want to take that at face value and just put that thing on there right there, dig through all the mess so I can find the end of this. I'll just be quite approximate with this right here. You know, this will probably go into the negative again too. I mean, look at that. It's in the hole. So I'm not buying Theta. I'm not buying Theta for anything long term until we cross that green line there at 22 cents. I'll be heavy into it when we get down into this zone here. Until that time, I'm not really all that excited about it. All right. So in T-Field again, the T-Field has always been. I really am looking for those swings for you guys, but here's another case where swings are just not. They're just not looking all that sexy, to be honest. We got a 37% chance of bouncing up again. How much of a rise is that? 17%. All right. Well, okay. Let's what said can be unsaid here. So that actually belongs down there. We're not. MACD's not quite in full agreement with that, so put a pin in that. Here's what I would tell you. We have an ISIS line right here. So when we get to 0.391 or thereabouts, Keltner channel's probably going to come down and touch ISIS. So when we get down here, which is already kind of a call line, when we get down here to this point at 0.3, let's just call it 0.39. When we get down to 0.39, somebody call my attention to this, and I'll tell you whether or not I still feel the way I feel right now. But I believe there's a potential possible probable bounce to be had here. Let me get some of that trash out of there. Because basically we're whipsawing up and down, up and down. You know, it looks like it wants to go this direction, but I don't think it's quite gone down low enough to come up to that line. So I'm willing to kind of concede that it's not quite ready for prime time yet. So, but be watching it. So if anybody is in love with this coin, bring my attention to this when it hits the 0.39, and then I'll give you my updated opinion on it. But I think there might be probably anywhere from 17 to 22% possibility on a short-term trade. And by that I mean probably less than 100 hours. I wouldn't be in this thing longer than 100 hours. Honestly, I wouldn't be in anything longer than 100 hours because we're just getting so close to just utter disaster. I mean, to look out and go, well, you know, she'll turn around in a week or two. My week coming up is no more predictable than anything else. I have no idea what I'm doing this afternoon, let alone what the world is doing. So I really don't want to be owning anything in a week thinking that the world is going to still be the same in a week. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, so every time you do this, you have to kind of concede that yeah, I could end up owning this for a while. And again, the question is do you want to own Theta fuel at 4 cents? Well, it's not a great price because I forecasted this thing to go quite a bit lower, but this is a swinger, so maybe you'll get lucky and not have to park on it for a while. You may have to, who knows? But when it goes down, just like Big Brother Theta, you might be nesting on this thing for a while before you get your money back. But I have every bit of faith in the fact that it's a no lose, and I air quote that heavily, no lose proposition, either short term or park it. So the money that you put in this, don't push the kitchen sink at it. Don't push the rent money or the diaper money at it because you'll lose it. You'll just lose it. These things are subject to all kinds of manipulations. And the deeper we get into this FTX stuff, the one thing I can tell you is I can't tell you anything as far as like guarantees. There are no guarantees. When Theta decides to crash, doesn't matter what these indicators say. It's going to crash. Now, we'll come back and hit those indicators, but we don't know when. So just always be well aware of that. All right, a few other things and we'll get out of here. VeChain is showing us, go ahead and get that out of here now. VeChain is showing us pretty much all probabilities of going lower. I mean, all the markers, all the indicators, all the projections, not even trying to tell us it's going up. So this would be another one where we look at everything else, and some of that stuff looks a little bullish. But if you look at VeChain, which has basically got the same formation, you're going, yeah, this isn't happening. But you can see we got kind of a rounded bottom. I guess I already had that. We have a kind of a rounded bottom, which would indicate that we might do that, but I just don't think so. I think it's just basically it's basically that before that. I think primarily. So wouldn't be screwing with this right now. And if it did go up, you're looking at best probably 7.5%. Not worth getting out of bed for, as far as I'm concerned. All right, so we're still watching Doge. I'm going to hit a few things because I want to make sure that I cover. I haven't looked at that one for a while. Check in on Phantom. I do want to check in on Hashgraph because it's been a while since we talked about that. Apparently, I got more of these to talk about than I thought. Let's take a look at silver real quick because I haven't even checked silver today. Silver, I'd love it if silver were an indicator of where the market's going, but whatever. it's it's not. It's not. This isn't an ecosystem all its own. But this is a 15-minute chart. This is what I got for you guys. When we cross this right here and decisively hold it, this is the zone of, I don't want to say the zone of no return, but the zone of statistically improbable return. When we cross this, I think we're looking at prices of silver that you haven't seen for a very long time, if ever. Because we're heading that direction. Let me get rid of the trash here. We're heading that direction and have been for a good long time. We hit quote unquote bottom. We had 18 clear back in October, and we haven't been that low for a good long time. Now, will we still crash down to the prices that I'm projecting and possibly thinking? It remains to be seen. This is an entirely different ecosystem, is what I'm telling you. So just to kind of give you a little stomach acid and something new to worry about, something else to worry about. If I've long said this because you cannot time this. You can only look at the play that you got. You cannot time this because this is just too manipulated to chart and say, I can tell you when they're going to make the moves. You can clearly see that. But, by the way, what these green lines are is these are long count and short count cycles, important cycles for long short count. Short count is blue, long count is green. So on these days, your next one coming up, as a matter of fact, December 13th. Next one coming up for the long count, if we jump over to that, is on the 14th. And then we have another one over on, we don't even have a date for that yet, evidently. I just know it's coming on this date, whatever that date is. That's hilarious. But let me get back to square one here so I can continue talking about this. All right. So basically, as far as like to give you stomach acid about worrying, like I said, hey, don't try and time this stuff, guys. If you got money, get your happy ass to the silver dealer and buy what you can. It sounds like some of you guys have been on a buying binge. I talked to a member yesterday about that. He just picked up a pretty respectable amount. He was asking me about real estate and stuff, which is a completely other discussion about how much silver I'm going to need to buy real estate. That's not an answer anybody can give you because that's just a deeper conversation than I want to get into right now. But suffice it to say, we will cover that again in a future broadcast. But the point being is this: if you can get silver, just don't be waiting for these bottom prices because the longer you go, the lower the supply goes, the higher the premium goes. So it really ultimately, if you're just taking a blind shot, okay, buy it because you can see. So if this doesn't make you feel better about this, I bought it here, I bought it here, I bought it here, and I bought it here. And so, I had paid a higher price than what we're seeing now, and I bought a lot of it up here. But I'm happy to own it because I've got it and it's in my physical possession. So if we're only talking a couple of different bucks, doesn't matter to me because I know where this is going. It's going into the multiple thousands of dollars. In the long term, this is going into the thousands of dollars. In short term, we're going to be looking at, once we cross this line right here, we're going to be looking at probable prices of upwards above 60 to possibly high 60s, low 70s. I'll just say that for non-subscribers. High 60s, low 70s soon after crossing this line. So if we go down lower, you get down here, basically the supply is getting less, so the fees are getting more. So basically it's like treading water right at this line. So just buy it. That's not advice, but with silver, it falls into a different paradigm. So yeah, it is advice. It's my opinion that there's really not, if you're trying to save 50 cents by waiting, you may find yourself with a whole lot of cash and a whole little of silver by waiting. I just would not, if I were handing advice, I would not advise anyone wait on a silver purchase because it's not crypto. It's limited stuff. It's limited application. It's limited availability. Strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. I mean, if you got the ability, then do it right here, right now. And going into today being Friday, some silver, like my silver dealer's open until my silver dealer in Chicago and the one in Des Moines, those guys are open until about noon or something like that. So if I've finally gotten through to you that maybe you think you need to do it, you should be aware that a lot of silver dealers are not open on Monday. They take 2.5 days off basically. So they take Saturday afternoon, Sunday, and Monday. Why Monday? Because they're like motorcycle dealers. They go do things convention wise. They got business to run. They got things they want to do on a weekday. They don't want to be stuck in the shop all the time. So I would tell you that basically you got between now, and I'm in North America, by the way, it's 6 o'clock North America. Or you can buy online. I always kind of forget about that. But if you're talking physical, you can always buy over the weekend or whatever. God knows when they're going to ship it to you, but you can go to the larger like SG Bullion and whatever, and just get it done, guys. Just don't be jacking around with it. The reason excuse me, the reason I prefer to buy it local is I don't have transport costs, and I just get it in my greedy little hands immediately, and I just like that. So not only that, but I do get a better price local. So you buy from a smaller guy, you get a better price. So it's just all good. All right, start coming through. So H bar, yeah, ping baby. We're working our way into that triangle again, guys. So here we go. I strongly suspect I see already what's shaping up here. So let's go ahead and throw a triangle on that. Come on here. I'll give you one of those right there. And there she blows. All right. So right about there, I'd say. That is pretty cut and dried. That's pretty cut and dried. We've got our pole right here. We take our pole and we put it there, and we match the Anubis call. Bang, just like that. So 50% being right there at 0.3, 0.76. I'll tell you honestly, I'm not going to call it final call, obviously, because I'm telling you we're going to go a lot lower on something like that. But I'm all about the safety buys. Your safety buy zone is right in that area there. If you just want to, now let me back up for some of you guys that are always hearing me talk about safety buys. You think I'm talking HODL, and not necessarily. If we were to go down here and you're safety buy, and you buy this, and let's say you safety buy and you actually get executed, you get filled right here. Okay, I'm on the boat. Yeah, you are in the boat. All right. So what happens if this starts going up, as it is possible to do? What should you have done? What should you have done? Well, first of all, you should have been buying. You got the thing at a safety buy at a good spot here. So you're in. Let's talk in terms of percentage. Let's say it went up 33%. You gonna sell it? No, 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 because it's going to go to the moon now because I bought it in the safety zone. Well, I just got done telling you that we have other areas down below. So are you going to let that wash past you and come up and go back to your safety buy and then drop again, or are you going to chase that up with a stop loss? So you guys that are making these safety buys as it goes on the ascension, I mean sometimes it'll go down, but what I'm telling you is this is a possibility of a bounce. It's a possibility of a pivot. I mean, I'm 100% sure, but don't take it as gospel. I'm 100% sure we're going to be seeing these ridiculous bottoms. I mean, common sense should tell you that. I mean, some of you guys are noticing some of these other people are coming around that are starting to echo my sentiments from, 6 months to a year and a half ago, or they're starting to say it now too. So it's only a matter of time before the common Joe Lunchbucket starts to invest according to everything that he's being told. And we're going to get down to some of these lower lows. But back to the point here is if this thing, let's say, for example, you buy here and this thing goes up 25, 30%, are you just going to let that go? Or are you going to get up underneath it with a tight stop loss of when this thing pulls back and decides to start going south again, you just made yourself a little bit more money. And that's what this is. That's what it's a safety bounce, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So what I'm telling you is when we get down into this area here, to the deeper part of this, under this ISIS line right here at the 0.0325, wouldn't hurt you. Wouldn't hurt you. I plan on buying in this little zone right here and see what's what. See what happens. Because if it does bounce, if not, that's fine. I've got Hashgraph at 3 cents. I have no projection because there's not enough data on this. I don't know what the inevitable price for this thing will be in the far-flung future, but I do know there's enough power players behind this thing that's certainly not going to be what I paid for it. So I'm okay with that. And as long as Google hasn't been taken down by people for all the evil shit they've done, then Hashgraph stands a fighting chance. And even if they are, you're still looking at a fact where they'll still have to liquidate the assets and some other company will step in and take over. So that's a little bit more advanced look in the crystal ball. But short term, I'm not fearful that Hashgraph's going to dry up and blow away because of anything Google's doing. Google's just one of many that are involved in Hashgraph. But so to go back in here, safety zone, buy it. Buy it, chase it up with stop losses, and just wait and see what happens. If it turns, then you made yourself 15, 20, 25, 33% returns, and now you got 33% more in your bag, waiting for the bottom. So when I say safety buy, I always look at that. But if it plunges through, okay, well you got a little bit. You got 1 foot in the door. So. All right, well, Phantom played out just exactly as I expected. That's why I got out. Um, this is what should be playing, and I'm still kind of standing behind this as a possibility, but this is going to be down the road further. This isn't likely to happen anytime soon. As you can see, we're coming out of a pretty strong belly. RSI is already starting to fold down a little bit. Come on, get down there where you belong. RSI is starting to fold a little bit. MACD is losing strength. Volume is just bleh. Volume is just not doing it. It's just going downhill. See, this is one of the indicators. If you look at that, it's just down, 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 down. Party's over. Everybody's going home. So I took my exit right here, and I can't remember what I made. I made something like 30, 33, 33, 34%, something like that. Got out, just had my intuition, just said, purple line was my original call. So it was looking like we might go into a double top here, but we didn't. We're going into just a massive flat side triangle here. So let's pull some of that crap out of there. So let's just use the imaginary chalkboard here. So you're going into basically there's wave 1, wave 2, coming back down to here. We can pick it up again for wave 3, which will be in a large triangle, and then from that 70%, 70, 80% odds to the flat side, and down she goes down here into the dual AI zone, right in that. So that was probably your last chance at glory. However, we will continue to watch for this third cycle. We'll just have to see what the next couple of weeks play out. There's possibility, when you get into that third stroke, that third bounce, that's the dangerous one because we know I go 1, 2, 3, just like they did with Dent, just like they did with Matic, just like we did with several others that have done this 1, 2, 3 bounce. At the descending, you can see a trend line running right through, so we can kind of surmise where the high end is, and we can look and go, hey, maybe we can make 10, 20, 30% if we buy at the absolute floor, which would be right down here. Then go ahead and do it. But you better like it at the prices. You better like it at 17 cents. And I can't say that I do, knowing what's coming. But you got a small window of glory there that you can possibly make 25, 30% on that third bounce. But right now, party's over. It's just not. It doesn't appear to be going any higher. You can see the flat side on that small triangle is already broken, and let's go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit. You can see we broke out of that flat side triangle, dipped out of it, hit the call line, popped back up again. Now support has become resistance on the underside. So now what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be walking on down that line right there. So also, this is where I got in at. So I suppose I should probably say this just to be clear here. If you guys are holding Phantom and you got in where I got in right here, you still have 28.75% gross profit. Take it. Take it. And so, that's my last and final warning, which is still not a bad return. Well, this is holding ground far better than I expected. Doesn't mean I want to own it, but it's really not doing anything too overly dramatic. I don't have any calls on this. I just obviously already got the calls, but you can see where this thing's headed. But do I want to own this? So far, let me go back and recap this for some people that are kind of late to the party, haven't heard some past videos or forgot what I said about this. Crypto.com, the inventor or the owner, CEO, originator of this, has some very personal, close ties to Sam Bankman. Um, and that for me is enough to make me very uncomfortable with crypto.com right now. And the fact that we've seen all this wild advertising they were doing. Sounded like a good thing at one point in time, but now that the other part of the story is coming out, we saw what FTX did with all their whacked out stuff. They bought a stadium too. A lot of you guys probably don't know that. Um, Crypto.com's got one, so I'm like, are we talking about birds of a feather here, or are we talking about basically the same strategy but a lot more ethical people? We don't know. That chapter remains to be written, but it's not going to be written in my blood. I can tell you that. So I'm going to be staying out of it for a while. If we get to the bottom, I'll tell you when would we want to consider this. So I'm going to go back to my original thesis on this. If this survives, if this comes out of this clean, if it gets through all the stuff that we're going to be seeing for the next couple, 2, 3 months or whatever, and Crypto.com still has a name and is still functional and stuff like that, then and only then I would look at it and go, guys, this is probably one of the greatest buying opportunities you'll ever see. But unless and until that happens, I guess I wouldn't know the real series of events I would want to see, but let's just suffice it to say, I want to see some justice. I want to see some justice with FTX. I want to see some decisive action happening with FTX, and I want to see the real hardcore washout happen and see where this stands, if it stands at all. And then I'll be a little bit more clear-headed to say, this is like buying Amazon when it was back in the 1 car or 2 car garage or whatever, because I do think this has basically got the potential, name brand recognition, all that stuff that I talked about in the past, has the ability to be just a fabulous, fabulous. Oh my God, I'm so glad I bought this. Just one of those core crypto coins that you got in your portfolio that just life changing, But right now, changing your life in probably the wrong way. So I'm not even going to speculate with a swing trade on this thing, no matter how juicy it looks. Not with my money, no sir, no ma'am. All right, Reef is just dropping hard. Somebody was playing. I missed that one. I wasn't paying attention. That's obviously a whale. Just trying to goat people in. I mean, look, if you go back and know how to read these stories, I mean, somebody clearly wanted everybody to get excited, and they did get excited. If I open up, I don't have volume here, but I bet you if you looked at volume, everybody probably thought this was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they all jumped in and bag dump, and then it just, bleh. What this is somebody getting everybody excited, dropping his bags on everybody. Everybody else coming to the realization they just got screwed and slowly accepting their fate. That's exactly what you're seeing right here. I mean, Reef is a shitty coin? No, certainly not. But it's got to go to the bottom too. It's got to go to the bottom, and it's an ERC20 coin. I was looking. I've found some Reef scraps in about 3 different wallets. I kind of consolidated and got everything together into one wallet last night. I was kind of closing out some of these shitty wallets that I don't want to be using, kind of getting down to one area. I've got everything on cold storage now. But notice a lot of you guys are talking about Reef. Should I buy Reef? Should I buy Reef? No, not yet. Not yet. Especially not yet because it's an ERC20 coin, and like I said earlier, you're probably going to have to use Tether to buy this thing. I have to get on KuCoin to double check it, but I highly doubt you can buy Reef with USDC. Most Tether coins or most Tether based or most ERC coins generally tend to be serviced by Tether, which on the other side of that will be this. I mean, when Tether goes down, I mean, the volume's just going to fall through the floor for these Tether only trade pairs. Um, so the prices are just going to go down to just astronomically low levels. So we're not ready to be buying Reef, proudly stepping up and just throwing down just buttloads of money on it yet. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. I think she'll survive. I'm never going to throw the kitchen sink at Reef, but I've seen my own visions of where that's going. I have a very good feeling about it, so I'm just going to roll with it. I haven't sold anything I'm holding so far. All right, so we got a rounded top on that. We're definitely playing. So we're on Doge here, by the way. So if you guys want to play the home game alongside of me here. All right, so what we've got here is a very clear second hump. Same thing starting. We're basically in here, bouncing off that. We're respecting and multiple things going on here at the same time. Let's get the main stage called up here. All right, so let's zero in a little bit, get rid of some of that. Hold on, I'm going to hide the indicators here. Okay. One hump, not quite a second hump, but our main area of concern and worry is this, or not worry of opportunity beginning is this orange bar right here. We're gonna play support off this, so this thing's gonna fall again. It's gonna come to rest on this upward trend here a little bit on this green line. So the little mini bear flag that you see, I don't want to zoom in too far, but you can see a mini bear flag starting right there. And so basically that's going to go from there into the red box right there, hit a Doge bounce target. All right, so if that's likely, a hot watch will alert you. The second we hit that hot watch, will alert you and tell you, hey, time to possibly play a Doge bounce. Because if we do bounce off that line, we have a better than good chance of possibly revisiting about anywhere from 13 to 15% on a bounce, maybe, but at about 5%, I would be putting it 5% of a total predicted move. I would be putting a semi-tight stop loss because I want to make sure whatever I put in, I want $1 plus more back coming out, and that's exactly what happened here. To go back and recap my greatest disappointments here. I got in on this thing here. I got out of this with a cup of coffee and a donut, maybe. But my girlfriend passed away, so I'm excused for that. But I not watched. What was it? 50, not 50. I have to go back. I can't even remember anymore. It's probably best I don't remember. But yeah. I watched about 25% slip through my fingers on that, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think it was something like that. Yeah, hang on a second here. Don't mean to be rambling here. I'm just trying to get myself reacquainted to what happened here. There we go. Okay, no, I'm sorry, 10%. So there was 10%. So I got back in on this trade here. This was like a 1, 2, third just for the hell of it. So that 10% basically it shot up, and this was just about the time I got the news that we're passing, and so I was just off the table and off the charts. And so it fell down there, and an alarm hit me, and basically I had a stop loss, a very very tight stop loss that I set about slightly, like I said, a cup of coffee and a donut above what I had into it, and so I got that back out of it. So was not a loss, but it certainly was not a gain. So I could have made myself probably about $10,000-$11,000 on that deal, but since she died, obviously life comes first. So as long as you're not losing money, I suppose it's just not insult to injury. All right. So anyway, back to the living here. So I expect to probably fall into. Let's just go ahead and illustrate that. I expect to fall into the zone here and probably do something. Now we do have a December 17th pulse marker. What happens there? Do we break out? Do we go up? I don't know, but we'll get a little closer and we'll check the charts and check the indicators. But we've got what surely looks to me like a pennant continuation on into basically the last day of the year. I'm sure we'll probably break out of that sometime. I can speculate. I have these little things when I get to talk and some new idea pops into my head. I can speculate on a couple of things here and kind of let you know. And none of this is gospel, so please don't take it as gospel. but I can speculate on a couple of things. If these pennants have a tendency, these trend pennants have a tendency to play out with the real world. They just come in randomly through my observation, but it's funny how the point of this falls right on January 1st. That's not a mistake. It's not a mistake at all. These things are planned. I just happen to be able to pattern recognize them, and it falls right to the first day of the year. All right, so what would happen in the first day of the year? Well, we got a lot of things going on. We got people dumping stocks. We got people buying companies, selling companies, looking for tax breaks. Everything we talked about a year ago. One of the other things that might happen. Let's go ahead and talk about this since we're on Doge one day chart. Some of you may have seen some of the videos. I've been telling you guys that this stuff was coming. There's still speculation. Well, is Elon going to say anything about Doge? I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Doge is going to work its way into the Twitter ecosphere at some point in time. And let me clue you guys on to a few things that I was talking about 6 months ago. I recently just saw a video that came out, and it was like literally almost echoing exactly what I had told you guys. Many of you guys don't know. Let's go back to talk a little history on Elon Musk. So Mr. Musk was one of the co-founders. His first big success was he was one of the co-founders of PayPal, a payment system, a very evil payment system. So let me rant a little bit on that. This guy is fucking Teflon. No one ever says anything to him about, oh, yeah, you started PayPal. What about that? What about that? Let me cue you in on something. He still owns stock in that. And how do I know this? I don't know this, but I do know how the rich work. I've seen it a billion times if I've seen it once. Would you, if you were a founder of a company, being emotionally invested. Let's talk about Steve Jobs for a second. Steve Jobs gets crap canned from Apple. Do you think he had no Apple stock in the time that he was crap canned from that before he get rehired? Hell no. Yes, he did. Yes, he had. Did you think he dumped all his Apple stock? No. He had Apple stock. And if that's your baby, you don't ever let go of it. You got an emotional tie to PayPal. So he has stock in PayPal. So all the shit that PayPal's doing right now, Elon knows about it. He doesn't want to get his hands dirty, so he's got one hell of a PR team. I really am on an Elon Musk rant here. Do any of you seriously think this man has enough time to fuck around on Twitter the way he does? He's got a team that does that stuff for him. Listen to him talk. He can't chain 3 words together without a. Do you think he's that eloquent on Twitter all of a sudden? No, he's got a team that does that stuff. All right, so now that we've addressed that, he's got a social media team, probably about 5 to 10 people that just watch comments. Because, you think everybody could just get on and fire a tweet at Elon and get responded to? Give me a break. So I've been wanting to say that for a while. But back to the point. So one of the things that he owned that I knew about 3-4 years ago, and we study this in the 21 group a lot. There's a thing called X-steganography. So we're going to go down a weird rabbit hole here a little bit, but I'm not going to get it. If you want to learn about X-steganography, dig through and find someone called Dark Journalist. His name is Daniel. He's very good, far better than I am at explaining what X-steganography is. But anything usually, and that would be XRP, all the X coins, anything involving X is usually got an occult and government tie to it. Not always, but about 99.999% of the time. And Elon Musk, when he started PayPal, which was co-founded by the CIA, et cetera, that's a fairly semi-known fact in small circles, owned X.com. All right, so X.com is going to come into your life again, and I want to tell you, be watching for this. So here it is, 12/9/2022. Let's see how long it takes everybody else to catch up. They're hinting at it, but I don't think they've made the connection. So let me make the connection for you. There's something in China called WeChat. WeChat is basically, it's Twitter, but it's also PayPal. And so what it is you can live your life. It's Facebook, Twitter, and PayPal all at once. And this is the Chinese, and it's just massive. And it's, of course, owned by the Chinese Socialist government. And, you can pay everybody. So if you and I are talking, hey, let me give you $5, I can send it right through WeChat. And boom, 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 and they're a payment processor, they're a communicator, they're an email service, they're just everything. They'll cook a chicken pot pie for you. They'll do whatever, but they do everything. They do everything on WeChat. And there is an old interview that's just now starting to surface. That he's, we need to copy from Elon talking with his staff. We need to copy something like that. Has been his end game. He doesn't give a shit about your freedom. It's good PR. He doesn't give a shit about your personal speech. He wants you on there speaking. That's what he wants, because what he wants to do, and I'm sure back in the day he wanted to probably create something. So he had the first leg of it. He had the payment processor, and when things just weren't working, whatever, eBay took a very large stake in that, and he took his exit at that point in time. And behind he left X.com, which is a domain. I bought a lot of domains in my day. I own TeslaDealer.com. I own TeslaDealer.crypto. I own a lot of domains that I'm just sitting on. They're like gold. If you know how to sell them, they're like gold. It's just one of my eclectic things that I do. And so I own like things like ChevyParts.com and just weird things like that. And I rent them out to companies, and that's another cash flow stream. We'll talk about that some other time. And so recently in the news, I think it was like about maybe 3, 4 months ago or something like that, he said, I have kind of an emotional tie to X.com. Can I buy that back? Not saying shit to anyone. And PayPal sold it back to him. So was he just going to own a domain name because he likes collecting weird shit? No, he's got a master plan. And the government that backs him has got a master plan. Our government has a master plan. X.com is going to be WeChat for North America. Well, it's really going to be WeChat for everyone, for the entire world. And what it's going to have is it's going to be rolled into Twitter. It's going to be rolled into payment processors. It's going to be rolled into everything, and your life is going to be lived on X.com. Mark my words. It's coming. And so everybody's like, well, what about Doge? Doge is, they're not thinking big game. Doge is just one piece of the puzzle. It's cute, it's whatever. Now, so let me set the record straight for anyone that's thinking alternatively. If any of you are thinking that Doge is going to be the payment processor for Twitter, give that thought up. It's not happening. What is going to happen is it's probably going to be the cutesy fun, we'll call it a Trojan horse, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It's going to be probably brought in as a Trojan horse to cute its way into basically getting everybody used. I mean, it's a meme coin. It's harmless. Yeah, I traded Doge for this and that. It's real money. I can use real money. And all of a sudden, the next thing that comes in is a little more serious. And so what you're going to see, and I hate to use this term because it has such a bad connotation, but you'll see a basket of cryptocurrencies probably accepted by X.com, or first they'll be through Twitter at some point in time. Twitter, you'll be able to use Bitcoin or Dogecoin or whatever, but here's what I'm saying is Doge will be not one, it will be one of many coins that will probably be allowed. And again, we got to kind of, where does this fall in the time frame? It'll probably end up being, I would imagine somewhere after the washout. So to get back and really circle the wagons back to my point, here's this point. Let's just hang in there. And it's on the first. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at this and I'm just getting the intuition, what happens on the first of the year? Businesses start making plans for the following year. So here's what I'm going to tell you, and this is only just to, I want to set up an I told you so, right in that zone, right there. At that point in time, you're going to start to see rumors that they're really going to put a payment processor on Twitter. You're going to see real, credible news come out. And let's move that a little bit further to the right. You're going to start to see real, credible news around there between, let's just call it pretty much the whole of January. And at that point in time, you may very well see Doge start to ascend. Now we have to always kind of take into account crash being what it is. So crash, it's you're fighting gravity the whole way. But let's not ever forget. I brought this up a trillion times. Don't ever forget that he has that rocket. That's another one of his passions. Doge 1. They put that big damn dog face on the side of that rocket. He didn't just do that for graffiti art. And there's a purpose. There's marketing in that. And so just be aware, if somebody wants to keep an eye on the Doge 1 project, which hasn't been making the news for a very long time, keep an eye on that project because, when they start to, I'm sure if somebody did a little sleuthing and dug around the internet, they could probably see what the projected launch date is on that. And at that point, you would start to see the run up probably in about 2-3 months, prior to that of this coin. I don't know how that plays in, so I'm not going to bullshit you and tell you that I do. But I'm back to business that I do know. I'm going to give you an I told you so marker right here. That I told you you're going to start hearing about how a payment processor is going to be rolled into Twitter officially. You're going to get the list of coins. Let's just say it this way. You're going to get a list of coins that are going to be used. Bitcoin and Dogecoin are absolute. I promise you. Now, is XRP, XLM? I don't know. Why wouldn't they be? But, how far down that list of prime coins is he going to go? I'm going to go no further than five. I'm going to go no further than five. I would say you might see Algorand on there. That's considerably lower than number five. But Litecoin, doubtful. But I'm comfortable in telling you that Bitcoin and Dogecoin are going to be two of a potential less than 10, probably closer to 5 or 6, that are going to be part of that credit. And of course, obviously, you can use your credit cards and et cetera, et cetera. You'll be able to buy crypto. You'll be able to trade crypto. You'll be able to sell crypto. You'll be able to swap crypto. You'll be able to do all that stuff on Twitter. And that's his master plan, is to turn all that into basically a petri dish where he germinates this and then moves it over to X.com. And X.com is going to be the master plan, and that's how that goes. So market, kids. I just showed you the future, because that's exactly what's going to happen. So in the meantime, we're watching for little bits and pieces of opportunities. I'm not telling you that this is going to be the be-all, say-all launch point off of this. In fact, I don't feel it. But, we're literally looking, Saturday the 17th, we're really looking at what should be the crest, and we might be even coming up on it earlier, what should theoretically, statistically be the crest of the long count, Anubis long count. So it could be on the downhill and just not go any higher. And we may have just picked it up early. Sometimes it goes plus minus, but statistically it's not going to be any higher than this at this point in time. So we just basically just watch and see when the next opportunity, we would be at the ultimate low there on February, which about tracks, and then coming into March, things are going to start getting very interesting in March. And so Doge could probably be, we're off, we can't go that far over, but somewhere in March, this thing could start to probably ascend, and it might be the real deal at that point in time. All right. I think I covered enough ground on that. Let's see what else here. I'm trying to read y'all's minds, see what else you want me to talk about here. I mentioned Algorand, so let's go ahead and take a look at that here. Algorand's just, this is one of those. It's just the forgotten ISO. Good, good. Just the lower it goes, the more you forget it, the better it is for all of us. This is, to be very honest about Algo, I think I'm not worried at all that it's going to turn around whatever. This is just never has been a sexy coin to me. It just never has. It just doesn't have the marketing. It's just not in the top of mind of anyone. The fact that it's an ISO coin, and it's kind of like Internet of Things. That was a buzzword. An Internet of Things coin isn't even really doing squat. So this is going to sag a lot more before we get to the bottom, and that's fine. We're already doing it. When everything else is kind of curling up a little bit, this just keeps dripping lower and lower. It's like Chinese water torture. So let it happen. Fine, whatever. Let's see what else. I like to look at this thing as kind of like a slow motion train wreck. I'm still hearing people talking this thing up like, oh man, bearable bull. He will not shut up about this. He keeps telling people, get in, get in, get in. But again, let's go back and revisit my greatest hits. Is this not a three-wave in the making? Do you not see this? And so I'm not suggesting anyone get in on quant, except for anything but a swing trade, which by the way happens right here at this green bar. But are you swing trading a $45 coin when you can do that with a $1 or $2 coin? There's nothing that draws me to this until we get well down into ground that we just haven't been at for a very long time. Down in this zone right here, I'll concede and grab a little bit, because I think you should have anything that's part of the new financial system. I'll just carte blanche tell you, yeah, buy it, but buy it right. Below 35, let's say 37, 36, 37 dollars. That's when I'll probably take a look at it, and I'll have plenty of time to do that. And if I run out of money buying the other stuff I like and I don't have enough for quant, then fine, I missed the boat. I don't care. But it's overpriced. It will not, go quadruple price as fast as some of these other things like XLM and XRP and et cetera, et cetera. So for that reason and that reason alone, it's just not something that's real high up on my watch list. Going back to IOTA, I just referenced it. Here we are looking at a 20-cent coin. I mean, again, for whatever reason, no one's paying attention to it. We've gone 50% of this super duper drop. Look at this, guys. That's a big ass drop that Anubis predicted, and we're already at over. We're damn near probably 3/5. We're getting there. We are getting there. But I mean, look at that massive plunge. Massive plunge. This thing is going to go down right in the bucket, right down there. And when it does, buy it. You will do far better to buy Internet of Things. I don't even care if it doesn't become a major prime coin. You'll do far better buying at a penny, 1 or 2 pennies versus $30. 2 cents can become 4 cents a hell of a lot faster than $30 can become 60. It's just a fact. All right. By the way, okay, so let's see if I can get my other stuff here. Give me just a minute here. So anyway, Hot Watch. Haven't got a chance. So some of you guys are having problems with Hot Watch trying to join. I wasn't aware of this, but evidently Hot Watch, the subscriptions on Discord. That's a Discord only subscription. You don't go to Fibby Charts to subscribe to Hot Watch. If you subscribe to the Prime stuff, let's start at the very beginning here so I can confuse you a little bit more. If you guys are subscribed to Platinum, regular platinum. If you guys are subscribed to platinum, so you guys want to upgrade from gold, this might be your reason to do this. If you guys want to if you guys want to subscribe for the first time, platinum has always been where the big boys start to play. Platinum has free access to Hot Watch Lite, which is the top 5 coins. That's Bitcoin, XRP, XLM, Ethereum, and there's another one in there too. So those are plus all the time frames. Plus it also has the Tether watch on it. So if you have platinum, you have that. If you have platinum pro or diamond, you have access to the full Hot Watch Premium. Now, having said that, if you guys just want to a la carte buy that, let's say for example you got a bronze, or let's say you got a shitcoin package or a Doge subscription, or you have no subscriptions at all, you just want to know when shit's going to hit the fan. Fair enough. So you guys can come in off the street and just basically go to the Discord. Let me see if I can find this. It may not look the same to you guys as it does to me here, so I'll fake my way through this a little bit. Hopefully this opens up. All right, so if you go to right up here up top, you'll see this little blue thing here, service subscriptions. Click on that, and what you'll see is this right here, or you should see. Now, from what I'm understanding, if you're on a phone or on a tablet, you cannot subscribe to this. And I'm reasoning, and it pays through Stripe, and I'm reasoning it's probably because of Stripe. They won't let you do that. They don't want you to be on a low security phone with your credit card. So you got to go to a PC. You got to get on an actual computer to be able to subscribe to this. Now, once you're on that, this is where the confusion comes. I can say this a lot faster than I can type it. Once you're on that, then the Hot Watch rooms will be available to you through your phone, and we want it to be hooked to your phone, through your tablet, because the way this works is you want to get the subscription to this, and then those notices start pinging. They just start automatically pinging. We hit a target within milliseconds of hitting that target, within milliseconds of Tether hitting the fan. You're going to know about it before anyone even knows what's going on. You're going to know about it, and you can act on it immediately, because what it'll do is it'll send a notice to the room. The room will ping you, and how it pings you is you can find it if you want to find it. I don't advise that you do. You can find it in the room. There's 2 rooms here. Let me see if I can find it here. And by the way, if you subscribe to Hot Watch Prime, you get access to this one. If you subscribe to Lite, you just get access. So Prime gives you everything. Everything I'm trading on Platinum Pro is eventually going to be all on Prime. If I can find the damn thing here, I'm starting to get too much stuff built up. There we go. Somewhere in here. I literally, my dyslexia is just getting so bad, guys. I apologize. There we go. Hot Watch Prime, Hot Watch Lite. Okay, so let's just, so what you should see is um, when you get into Hot Watch, it's going to look just like this, but what you're going to see here to kind of go back is you're going to see these things popping up on you. Every time we hit a price, you're going to see, and we've got some new stuff now that we've just put up today. These little, you'll see, we're going to be putting possible theory, some possibilities of trades. So you'll see a little purple Einstein pop up on you. This is just a blank test. But you'll see, hey, we might be going into a triple wave or whatever. So you can set yourself up, and this will have all the information right here telling you, hey, we hit this. It's possible you could do this because this allows me to be in 1,000 places at once. I can tell you universally, I can see this stuff well ahead of it happening, make a note on it. It pops up on Hot Watch, so I can be wherever in the world or sleeping, and this stuff comes through live. And so how it comes through live to you is what you would do, the point I was making here. You go download the phone app, and I think you can do it on your tablet if you're tablet inclined also. You can download the phone app on your tablet or whatever to download the Discord app and then have this particular room or this room, whatever you're subscribed to, or both, have it give you notifications on your phone every time a message is left in this room. So some of you guys apparently when I'm doing my late night posts, you're telling me you're getting pinged all the time because you got all these rooms notifying you. You may not want to do that because it gets to be a bit annoying. But if you get the app and then you just toggle it so that only the room or rooms that are relevant to you needing to know information instantaneously. So the way it works is when a hot watch comes in, pings the room pings your phone within like a millisecond, and Tether's decoupled, and it's on, baby, and you'll know about it. So all right, so basically that's it. And of course, obviously, I try to make this pretty much leave nothing to the imagination. So you see a little green arrow when it's an up call. It's just at a glance. I'm a very big at a glance person. I want to know what am I looking at? How do I glean this information at a glance? Well, we're talking about Doge. We're talking about an up move. It's a bullish move. Here's the headline on what's going on. All right, I can move on with my day. If we hit a target, we've got several different icons. I've got a swing. I don't know if it's going to show up in this or not, but I've got a swing opportunity coin too. Or I got a swing opportunity icon that has a little swing on it that shows you, hey, this might be, and that would show you how high it could possibly go. So it really is pretty much just a set it and forget it thing. You just play the calls basically. So you guys that are looking for an in or looking McDonald's money people, this is so worth it for you guys. It really is. I mean, if you can't afford to subscribe to the charts, I get it, but I mean, if you're going to be a crypto trader, have some tools, guys. Just do. This is well worth it. Just for you guys that are just kind of hanging out in the free rooms and stuff like that, it's important to know what we're talking about. And occasionally I will manually throw charts into the hot watch thing just to kind of make my point. So, all right, well, that's pretty much it for today. I don't think we got anything more to talk about probably till Sunday, unless I could be proven incorrect. So, still got the last trip, still got the story on the last trip to talk about, stuff like that. I mean, like I said, when I brought one of the people, he's become quite a dear friend. I brought two people I bought. You probably heard me mention they're in my race club. I indoctrinated them into my Porsche race club. Crypto Rich and Jeff's Habit. You'll see those names in they're both diamonds. We charted I literally, I was down and back so fast it was ridiculous. I just put the call out to Rich called me and said, I heard about your girlfriend. And he said, are you going to go to the funeral? I'm like, I don't really want to go sit for 12 hours in a thing I probably wouldn't even be able to get there. He goes, let's just charter a plane. He's used to doing that. And so got that Doge money, baby. And so he said, let's just charter a plane. So we chartered a private plane. We flew from the Midwest to Cuba quickly. This thing was a G6. This thing was, whew, baby. Baby, you must, like Ferris Bueller said, if you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up because it is so sweet. So we were on a G6 and just boom, we were there like in a matter of hours. And so we all kind of convened very quickly. So I brought three members from the 21 group and some I brought Crypto Rich and Jeff's Habit and another diamond who doesn't want to be mentioned. And we said goodbye and we buried my girlfriend under a full moon at a Santeria funeral. And let me tell you what, if you want to get baptized in weird, you prepare for the flood. And these guys are like, they came away from that, and I'll tell you the bigger story later on. But they came away from that, and it was so funny they were speechless. Even the 21s were pretty fairly speechless after leaving it. And we were sitting back at the hotel room, and I said, "So, what do you guys think of this? And what'd you think?" And it was just like, I don't even know what I just saw. And and I said, "This is what my life is like every single day, every single day, something like that." And you know, I'll say one more thing. I don't want to ruin this story because I want to kind of tell it in a linear fashion. I'm just dying to tell you guys this story. But if none of you, I mean, some of you may have gone to a church and you might have seen it faked or whatever, but if some of you have never heard a person speak in tongues, it absolutely is one of the most frightening things you've ever experienced. It's almost like a damn exorcism, a real live exorcism. I've seen a few of those too. But if you've never seen anyone speak in a foreign voice in tongues, it is absolutely the most frightening, like reality piercing thing. And when it turns and it speaks directly to you, it is a hell of a thing. So all of the guys have been exposed to this now. So I don't know how much they want to talk about it on the Discord or not. But I told them, I said, "Oh, I'm going to talk about this." And I said, "Yeah, I would expect that you probably would." So I'll get into the deeper story. And I did not take pictures out of respect for my girlfriend and her family. However, I did record some audio because you really should hear it. It's absolutely beautiful. So we'll talk about that later on. So until that time, until next thing we get together again, peace and hair grease, baby. I love you all.